Welcome to our two worlds, Canuck Summers, Pinoy Winters. We have a pocket too, the experiment.
If this works, and right here is what
as you can tell, we're listening to the guy that showed us how to format our SD card. And now he's finally shut up. But we're done. Lynn is ignoring us. She's on her phone. Yep, there she is on her phone.
I'm gonna post this thing because it's funny.
Just gotta post all the funny stuff.
Okay.
Okay, this is our first attempt with the DJI Pocket 2. We're at the BC Ferries site, and we're gonna drive you to our house. And we're also trying out the DJI microphone. See if it picks up Lynn and I equally here. I put the... Lynn, do you want to show the pocket on my...
Okay.
On my...
That's...
It's right there. And it's
right,
got what's called a
dead rat.
No, dead cat.
Sorry.
The dead cat is on my shoulder, not the dead rat.
That's it.
Lynn did
a rat.
Lynn did a post the other day about it being a dead rat.
Okay.
Okay, so let's enjoy this drive. So the other day we were going to video leaving the ferry, but it was so busy. There was no way I wanted to hold a phone because we didn't have a gimbal at the time or a tripod. So today we're going to do the DJI Pocket, and Lynn's going to do her best to hold it today because these first videos without a dash clamp will be will really tell us a lot, especially if you want to do just short videos in the car. Do we want to really get into the hassle of mounting things onto the window? So this will be another little bit lengthy drive, but let's have some fun with it. And let's see if the noise reduces now that the window is closed. So we can see a smaller ferry coming in. If you take a peek on the lens, you can see a smaller ferry coming in behind the terminal there, coming from one of the Gulf Islands. And we're on to Victoria. Not all the way, but it's going to be a good run. I'm going to talk like this for a second because Lynn has been struggling with a clogged nose since we moved down here.
Oops.
So at times it might sound like she's got nothing in her nose.
The lens and...
One day we'll explore some of these other roads and see what other beaches might be out this way.
It should be like this.
You can speak up when you say this might be better.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can hold it like that long term.
I know.
She's got it resting on the console of the car, where if you know the Subaru Crosstreks, they have a little info screen that's just strictly like how many kilometers you've gone and your gas economy and the temperature outside. There's a little platform there, and we've put a little piece of felt on there because it's hard plastic, and all it does is vibrate anything that sits on it. Now that we're moving, she's realized that she can't hold it up there.
Exactly.
So there's got to be a deep cove everywhere in the world, right?
Smonington campground.
Yeah. There's a little bit of wine in the Victoria area here. This part of the peninsula between the ferry terminal and roughly where we live is considered the longest growing season in Canada. And that says a lot because we're in a rainforest, so it rarely ever gets snow here. When it does, it's bloody miserable. But guess what? We do winters in Pinoy country. Yay! Lynn doesn't like it because she can't work in the winter. And she's not going to work for Pinoy money anymore.
I'm not even working today. Can you imagine that?
But because of COVID, she got a whole year of work yet. So there we go. This Canuck is happy. I get some time with my wife without having to share her with work, and more work.
Yeah, right. Okay.
The Philippine community here is quite interesting. All over BC. When we did our trip, if you saw the last video, when we did our trip up to Dawson City in the Yukon, every town we ran into, it seemed like the hotel had a Filipino working there. And Lynn, of course, got into a quick conversation, and we started asking how many people live here, and Whitehorse, 10% of the population.
More than 10.
Yeah, it was more than 10 in Dawson.
In Dawson
Whitehorse.
City, it's 10%.
Yeah, and guess what? In Dawson City, they own their grocery store, and they own the fast turnover, high transit hotel. Not the tourist hotels, the high turnover ones, because in the winter they want all of those construction workers and maintenance workers. They want all those people because those tourist hotels shut down. So yeah, Dawson City down through Alberta, every little town we ran into was at least 10% were Filipino. And I find that statistic very interesting because first, the networking between Filipinos is phenomenal. Lynn was getting calls in the spring. Hey, do you want to go prepare fields? Do you want to prepare vineyards and trees and trimming? And of course, then there's the whole picking season. So if they only want casual work in the summer, there's lots of work here for Filipinos, especially if you just want to be casual. And even if you've got a job, like say at a hotel, most of the cleaning and stuff is done by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Maybe on a really heavy day, they might stretch out till 4 at the worst case. And so for them, with our summers, June 21st in the Okanagan, sun's going down. A heavy twilight is still 9:30 to 9:45. So a lot of them head off and do berry picking and such because they know how to do farming. And they're not big, bulky people compared to the Indians. And when I say Indian, I don't mean First Nations, as we refer to our Aboriginal peoples here in Canada. So the Indians, they're big people. And so things like squatting and things like climbing up into trees and stuff with these ladders and such, Filipinos are much more adept to doing that. So anyway, we had to get closer to my grandkids. It's been 2+ years since I've seen them. And my other 2 kids are scattered around British Columbia, and they're easier to get to. But grandkids, you got to get some time in with them while they're young. And your kids themselves as adults, you've had a lot of time with them already. And so the grandkids, it'll be kind of fun to be a little bit closer, including the ferry ride. We're only about 4 hours away to get there. Of course, you're going to have to get there a little bit early to get your ticket, but that's okay. We're much closer. And the other thing is, I said to my mom about this time last year when things were opening up, I said, we got to turn this thing on its head, Mom. It's going to come back in the fall. We all know it. Those who buried their head in the sand and said, oh no, it won't. Oh yeah, right. Don't understand virology. I actually took some virology courses online. There's a Columbia University fellow who posts all of his lectures online. And because of COVID, he was actually doing the Q&A portion right on the videos. I got one question right, I think, out of about 12 videos. I was so happy. Anyway, the point is that I was totally convinced that we were going to have a surge. Spanish flu taught us that. Other highly contagious, and as I've learned from the virology courses, high contagious does not usually translate into high death. High death is usually shedding a virus later in the sickness. So take Ebola as an example. You're already in the hospital before you start shedding virus. I had no idea this was the case. So I kind of learned a few things. I probably don't know 100% of it, but the big basic stuff is definitely there. So sure enough, we hit the fall. So I said to Mom, because of this, we were living in our basement at the time. If you caught the other video, we'd sold our place to our tiny home, and then I said to Mom, first, let's use the backcountry. We've got very few people that live in BC relative to square footage compared to the Philippines. Here it's about 0.25 or 0.5 people per square kilometer. That includes the greater city of Vancouver. And whereas in the Philippines, and my buddy who I hang around with in the Philippines is from Belgium, both those countries are about 325 people per square kilometer. And a silly little tidbit, I'll tell you, New York is something like 30,000 people per square kilometer. This BC boy doesn't understand 30,000 people per square kilometer. Don't get it. Anyway, that's just me. So anyway, we turned it on its head. We spent a lot of time in the backcountry exploring various roads. And then we thought, well, let's get an Airbnb before the fall and before things kick into this next wave. And we'll just hunker down on Vancouver Island, be closer to my sister, and let's do that. So we checked out some Airbnbs. These guys are insane. So what I finally figured out is that Airbnb once upon a time used to be that you'd own a unit, you'd go away for half a year, and you'd put it online and you'd Airbnb the thing out. No. Most of these places out there that we ran into, these are homes built specifically in residential subdivisions, in gated communities, to be a full-time Airbnb. And so they don't care whether you're coming and going. They don't care whether you want to have monthly or not. That's the rate. And for 5 months, the cheapest one we found was $48,000. Wrong answer, as the game shows would say. We decided, no, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to buy a place where we can all just share in it. I'll pay myself that $48,000. So even if the economy goes for crap and we lose money, we'll still gain money. Now, as it turns out, the real estate market went boom and exploded everywhere. But so we've actually made profit on this if we wanted to sell it. But my mom and my sister spent their winter down here. And because we go back and forth every year, they didn't have to ask. I just told them, you guys should winter every year down in Victoria. And so they had such a good trip. I'm glad to hear that they're going to take advantage of that. So anyway, if we drove straight up the road here, there's a little turn that goes into this condo. But we're going to take you around to the front side of the building. And this is our new little abode. Top floor, corner unit. I won't have anybody walking on top of my head. If you guys have lived in a condo before, you know what I'm talking about. And there we go. I'm going to pull over here and I'll take this from Lynn and we'll just pan over this way. Show I've got a little park right here. And we'll see you in the next segment.
Thank you for watching Our Two Worlds, Canuck Summers, Pinoy Winters. Please subscribe.